You know, I've never been a smoker my whole life, and somehow this team makes me want to smoke. It just is so frustrating to watch games like this by the Rangers. Hi there, welcome to the DLLS Rangers podcast. I'm John Radigan, just really not going to take up smoking, but I needed something during this game, and Jeff's going to join us. Jeff will be with us here momentarily. I'm sure he and and everybody in the clubhouse are as frustrated as I am and as you are. Just really not an easy game to watch, not an easy game to enjoy. The Queen Cat is here today as well. She's helping us a lot with this one. It's a busy week at DLLS because of our Spirit Week, which does continue. And today on Spirit Week, we're celebrating big brothers and big sisters. And there's still an opportunity for you to give. We want to eclipse and smash the goal of $10,000 that we set earlier in the week. We're really happy that that ultimately became a modest goal, but let's go. Let's see if we can't give them some money, some more money, or just sign up to be a big brother or a big sister. This is a very special day for us. It's a very special partnership for us. And so anyway, we would appreciate it if you would get yourself over to our website and help out Big Brothers and Big Sisters. This, of course, all follows yesterday when we had our musical chairs day. Those of you who are ticket people as well would know it sort of as White Elephant Day, right? It was like everybody was moved around to different shows. I was on the Cowboy show, had lots of fun with Jesse and Craig Ludwig and KG. Kevin Gray was on that show with us. And then I was so happy that Queen Cat, jumped on the Rangers show. Not that I thought Jeff Kavanaugh and Bobby Carella were going to ruin the show, but I feared, right? I just feared where it might go. And KG jumped on that show too. But then the piece de resistance on that show yesterday, the great Mike Reiner, the old gray wolf, joined. A good friend of mine. He's a good friend of Jeff's as well, and he is the baseball Jesus of this area. So it was great to see all of that. They did a great job on that Rangers show. I hope we did at least some justice to the Cowboys show. I know Jeff was on the Mavericks show, and the Stars show was great too with all those guys and Steiny and everybody else. So anyway, a really fun day yesterday, and I hope it was as fun for all of you as it was for us. But we really do want to up the ante with our giving and our gifts to Big Brothers and Big Sisters. The other cities have all surged ahead of Dallas, so let's show them we're as charitable as anybody else out there. Does it feel like I'm stalling before I start talking about this game? Yeah, I am. But here we go. We're about to get sarcastic and caustic and nasty. Oh my gosh, this game. So the Rangers faced Michael Wacha, which rhymes with Waka or walk. And the Rangers didn't walk a lot, but boy, things got exciting in the fifth inning. The first two batters of the inning walked. Yeah, that was it. They were stranded. Michael Wacha went 5 1/3 innings of no-hit baseball against this team. I don't understand how 9 guys can just sort of lose it at the plate so quickly and so sporadically, right? Because what we had seen, of course, Marcus did come through. He got an RBI double, so Marcus got his hit. Wyatt Langford got his hit. But the Rangers only had 3 hits in this entire game. The entire lineup should not be shut down. Look, Corey Seager is having some issues, obviously. The longest dry spell of his entire and storied career. We still all believe Corey is going to get it right. But in the meantime, somebody has to pick up where he isn't hitting. And look, over the course of that nice stretch where the Rangers won 7 out of 8 games, that happened. It happened a lot. and it just hasn't been happening. This whole series was pretty frustrating. Yesterday's game, frustrating in that the Rangers had more extra base hits in that game yesterday than in any game this season, and yet they couldn't get guys home. They've got to get, as we've talked about, you've seen it on some of our hook shorts, you've seen it everywhere. They've got to get over that 4-run threshold or over it, right? They're still, I think it's like 28-4 right now. One of the top teams in baseball if they're scoring over 4 runs. The other teams that are right up there with them, north of an 800 winning percentage with games where they score 4 or more runs, are the Yankees and the Tigers, and I think maybe the Giants or Dodgers, one of the 2 teams from the West, right? Guess what those teams are? They're all at the top of their division. And the Rangers are slowly sinking to a lower portion of their division. So, very frustrating game. I know it started, with again, it's a bullpen day. So it starts with Sean Armstrong on the mound. And he was so close. He was like 1 pitch away from getting out of it. But it was a bad matchup when Vinny Pasquantino came out, a left-handed hitter, against the right-handed Armstrong, and he turned on one. And after Sean had, did he walk? Yeah, he walked Bobby Witt Jr., which isn't always a terrible decision, right? You get Bobby Witt Jr. on base, okay, whatever. At least he didn't do big damage, right? So he walks Bobby Witt Jr. After getting, inducing a pop out to India, and then Garcia flies out to right, and then it was a big fly to right for Vinny Pasquantino, and the home run gave them the. And I swear, at that point, when it's it's a 2-run game, right? It's 2-0, and I'm like, oh gosh, I hope this isn't one of those games where this feels insurmountable. And then suddenly, it did, right? It felt insurmountable. So the offense, look, they say it. I put this in one of the descriptions of the show. They say offense comes and goes. Well, the Rangers offense has just been gone way too often. It needs to come back. It needs to look like it did during that stretch. This is getting way too troubling. Comes and goes generally means game to game, right? Comes and goes generally means a game here, a game there, and then they're back. This is 3 straight games, right? This is 3 straight games against a team that came in to this ballpark limping. They had lost 6 in a row. They had pretty much been swept out of a homestand in Kansas City. And granted, the records show that the Royals play better on the road and certainly hit better on the road than they do at home. That said, the Rangers were coming in hot. They'd had an off day. They had just swept the Chicago White Sox. It looked like one of those opportunities for the Rangers to just really get going, and they didn't. And frankly, they couldn't. Now, yes, there were bright spots, and foremost among them, Jacob Latz. Are you kidding me what Jacob Latz did? The longest outing of his major league career, by far the longest of the year. Jacob Latz goes 5 2/3, allows 1 run, and ironically, it was the first guy he faced. It was Jack Caglione, the rookie for the heralded rookie for the Royals, that hit the first hitter hit a home run, and then he got 16 of the next 19 he faced. Very little traffic on the base paths. Jacob Latz, the lefty, did a great job. 3 hits, 1 run. He had 1 walk. This is interesting. He didn't strike anybody out. There's only been one other time in Rangers history since 1972 that somebody went 5 2/3 innings and didn't strike anybody out. So, that was an interesting thing. But, look, if you're getting outs, it doesn't matter if it's a strikeout. And he was getting, a lot of quick and efficient outs, too. In some ways, I think Mike Maddox is an advocate of, look, the strikeout isn't necessarily the best way to get somebody out, or the 3-pitch strikeout is not as good as a 1-pitch ground out, right? A 9-pitch inning with 3 strikeouts isn't as good as a 3-pitch inning, and there's 3 ground balls to second base and 3 putouts, 4-3, right? So, anyway, that was an anomaly, and it was strange that Jacob didn't have any strikeouts, but really not much of a concern. So he was great. He was really fun to watch. The guy who is going to have bad and good dreams and nightmares about this game is that rookie who hit that home run off him, Jack Caglione. Oh my goodness. So Caglione hits his first major league home run there in the second inning, leadoff batter of the second inning. And, you feel great. You've got to feel so good. What an accomplishment. This is a kid that played at the University of Florida with Wyatt Langford and was a prolific home run hitter, got to the big leagues almost as quickly as what Wyatt did. And actually our own Abby Jones was talking to various members of the Royals prior to the game, and they were all saying, look, there's no doubt this young man's going to be a great player. And so then she asked manager Quintero, what do you think? And he said, oh yeah, she asked about his first home run, when's it coming, whatever. And who knew it would be today, but it was good for him, right? Goes out in the field the next half inning, and he just half-asses it on a ball that was hit to right field. He just nonchalant, right? Resting on your laurels, dude? You got one home run? Took that joy, I guess, out to the field like, okay, I'm a major leaguer now. I don't have to work that hard. I don't have to run that fast. He jogged over to that ball in right field, and Jonah Heim hit it. It was kind of into the gap a little bit, but very, very catchable. Immediately, David Murphy, outfielder of some great renown in these parts, called him out on it and said, there is no reason he should have been catching that ball low, right? He had enough time if he'd hustled, right, to get over there and catch that ball up by his shoulder, which is the preferred place to catch a ball like that. As it was, it drops to the ground. Might have been the very next half inning. Caglione comes up to the plate, and he hit a ball, right down toward the plate, and he just assumes it's a foul ball. Well, it wasn't, and he didn't run to first base. And then he's kind of looking at the umpire like, hey, yeah, that's foul ball. No, when they're foul, I call them foul. There's a fair ball, and Jonah threw him out easily. So, but then of course the kid comes back, and whereas the first home run he hit was into the bullpen, second one he hit was over the bullpen. So, like I say, some nightmares and obviously some pleasant dreams that guy will be having tonight. But I promise you this, he will be all over the kangaroo court because they don't stand for that kind of thing. I've still got the game broadcast on in the background, and I see that Corey Seager is talking. And one of the things that makes me think of is that game that we've talked about. Jeff and I have talked a lot about that Toronto game at home when the Rangers got a hit from Josh Smith and then went 0 for the next 27, were basically no hit after that leadoff single by Josh Smith. And everybody came to their locker to show that accountability, including Corey, who doesn't always get there. Corey's there today. I have a feeling this game is going to resonate with this team a little bit like that one did. It was just not a great performance, and I assume Jeff's probably standing in that session with Corey Seager right now. So we'll hear what Corey had to say and get his thoughts. There's no doubt this is a very difficult time for a guy who just doesn't have times like this. So, at some point, he'll figure it out. In the meantime, I appreciate very much when there's this level of accountability. And that's exactly what Corey is showing today. So anyway, this was not a fun game. We're going to hear from Jeff momentarily. He will be joining us to talk about what he heard in the clubhouse. We'll also get to the upcoming road trip. There were a couple of streaks broken in Major League Baseball today. There's lots to talk about. We'll continue to revel in some of the fun we've had this week on Spirit Week. It's all coming up. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. Oh, and I do want to tell you about our friends at, I got to double check who we're talking about first here. Okay, there we go, Game Time. Oh, Nicole from Game Time just sent me an email. I did not realize whatever next weekend, right? Yeah. No, it's this weekend. The CONCACAF Gold Cup comes to AT&T Stadium. And you can get tickets right now for a Sunday game, the 6 o'clock game Sunday, $65. That's a heck of a price. And look, this is a preview of what the World Cup will be next year. So I think it'd be an awfully fun thing for you to go out there and get yourself some tickets to that. Chris Brown's coming. I see there are already, believe this or not, already there are tickets available for the NFL preseason. Cowboys at AT&T Stadium on Saturday, the 16th of August. How about this? At Game Time, right now, you can get a ticket to that game for $11. So you want to see what the new look Cowboys look like? Go to Game Time. Game Time's got it all. You'll see exactly where your seat is. There's price match guarantees, very few fees. We are huge, huge fans of Game Time. To us, it is the best secondary ticket app there is out there. And now we go to our friends at Monarch Money. We appreciate them so much, and I think you really need to avail yourself to the greatness of Monarch Money because they will help you keep track of your money. Not all the tickets are going to be $11 like those preseason Cowboys tickets are. So you might need to save your money and manage it and work it a little bit better. And when you do that, Monarch Money is there to help. So use Monarch Money. If you go to Monarch Money at monarchmoney.com and use the code DLLS, you will get first year for free, or for 50% off, I should say, at Monarch Money. Jeff Wilson joins us now. And Jeff, I just mentioned, still got the broadcast on behind me here. I saw Corey speaking. This game reminded me of the game, the Toronto game a little bit, right? Where everybody showed up to their locker and all that kind of thing. I don't know if that was the impetus for Corey being at his locker today, but was there anything to my assertion therein?
Well, they're getting ready to go out of town, so a lot of guys are at the locker. He just happened to get cornered by the wrong reporter, and then the rest of us came over, and he hadn't had a chance to escape. So he very kindly took our questions and talked about his own problems and just kind of the offense's problems in general. This series no doubt was a step backwards offensively. No home runs in 3 games. I thought that was a pretty staggering stat considering the Royals hit 7 of them.
Right.
That was the difference today. I mean, the Royals hit 4 home runs or 3 home runs. That was it. The Rangers just didn't get anything going, and they had opportunities. They always seem to have these opportunities, and getting the first 2 guys on there, and what was it, the fifth,
yeah.
The next 3 guys just pretty meekly bow out. I just thought it was a very listless performance.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of anything. There wasn't any juice in the ballpark, and I thought that was pretty telling, and it was a good crowd too. It's 37,000. I wonder, right away the Rangers went behind 2-0. A lot of people have been watching this team knows that a 2-0 deficit can be pretty hard for these guys to overcome. And also, it's a bullpen game. You don't really, you didn't get to see Jacob deGrom, for instance, who turned 37 today. You're not seeing a guy, and Sean Armstrong's a great guy. I really like him, but he's not why people buy tickets. So I just think it was just kind of a flat day all around, and the Royals just happened to hit some balls out of the ballpark because it's not like their offense was just scorching hot. They only had 5 hits, I think. So it's just a blah day to end a really blah series. Rangers had all this momentum, and now they go on the road where, again, you think, hey, it's the Pirates. They stink. Well, we'll see what happens here. You got Jacob deGrom in the opener. against a guy named Mike Burrows, who I've never heard of before. My best friend's dad's name was Mike Barrows, so there's that, I guess. But we'll see what happens. With this offense, you never know.
Well, speaking of which, it's time for our frosty takes. And earlier this week, we were talking a lot about how this is the time, right? The Rangers are now embarking upon a stretch of games where they play against all these teams who are under 500, including the Royals, who are coming in leaking oil. And then the Rangers got swept. So our take on that, Jeff, probably wasn't that great. But and I think it also teaches us, Jeff, right, as if we didn't know this, and we did, but it reminds us, let me put it that way, that, boy, you can't expect anything, right? They should beat Pittsburgh, too, beat up on them. They should
100%.
beat up on Baltimore, too.
They should,
beat up on them. But, anything can happen.
Yeah, we probably did know, John, that it's hard to lose 7 in a row. It's really, it's hard for a major league team to lose 6 straight. It really is hard. Unless you're the Rockies or the White Sox last year, it's hard to lose 6 in a row. But nevertheless, the pitching they had coming was good. I think everybody knew that. We did say that there would be some low scoring games. Yep. And we were right, because the Rangers did not score a lot. The Royals did just enough. So we earned this frosty take. But it's still there. The Pirates and Orioles are winnable series. They really are. And after this one, they need to be series wins. You're getting to the point now where it's going to be July 1st, and you're going to hit the halfway point of your season, and you're not going the right way. You were only 4 days ago. Everything was feeling good. Yes, it was the White Sox, but still, 3 wins over them, 2 good road series. And you're feeling good about things, and you take the day off, and this team doesn't need a day off. So I think it's a good thing they play tomorrow. Yeah, go to Pittsburgh and try to shake off this funk, and there's no explanation for it. There really isn't. At this point, it's who they are. I just think that's that. They keep looking for this turnaround that's not happening. And yes, they have all these players who are great, and Marcus Semien is doing better. He's the one guy, I think, who has turned it around. Wyatt Langford is showing some signs. The rest of them, including Corey Seager, it's just not there. So they need to have get drunk on the flight, whatever they got to do, sleep in tomorrow, and then show up to the ballpark and go.
Yeah, and that is where I'd quibble with you on this is who they are. This isn't who Corey Seager is, right? I mean, he's going to, maybe not, but he's got to get this figured out. This is Corey Seager. We've never seen anything like this from him in his career. So I agree with you, though. We do at some point need to stop saying, okay, well, we know this is going to be a prolific offense. I'm not sure we know this is ever going to be a prolific offense. What we do know, I think, is that Corey Seager will hit, and generally, I think guys will follow. And then you cross your fingers that this damn team can get to 4 runs, Jeff. That stat still lives. I think they're like 28-6 or something like that when they score 4 runs or more.
Yeah, it's like you're not asking for a lot. No, 4 runs. You're not asking for 6 or 8 a game. You're asking just for 4. This team used to score. This franchise used to score 4 runs in its sleep. Show up and you knew they were going to score 4 runs. This isn't the case here. And again, it goes back to, we can go back to just a few weeks ago when we were talking about after that that Toronto game. What's wrong with this lineup? Well, they don't have patient hitters. That's first and foremost, I think. You see guys who go up there and swing at the first pitch, and that's okay. Sometimes the first pitch is going to be the best pitch you hit. But if you're grounding that ball right to the third baseman or to the shortstop, A, it was either a pitcher's pitch, or B, your swing is screwed up. If you feel that good, that's my pitch, and that's what you do with your pitch, then then maybe there's something mechanically wrong. So I think that's a big factor, though. This team does not work pitchers, does not grind out at bats,
No.
Does not fight off pitches and to get their pitch, like the good teams do. You see, and the good hitters do. They'll just waste pitches, foul off pitches, and then all of a sudden they get the one mistake, and they're going to hit it a long way or hit it really, really hard. So that element is definitely missing. And I do think Josh Smith needs to be back. And he's not going to carry the offense, but he provides a spark.
Yep.
And would look good there at the top. Evan Carter, get him back deeper into the lineup right now. I think that helps the bottom of the order a little bit more, having him down there. And I don't know where you're going to put him, but I'm all for Sam Haggerty playing more.
Boy, me too.
Every time this guy gets a chance, he does something positive. And, I don't know where he goes because he plays left field. Well, Evan Carter Wyatt Langford play left field. He plays second base. Well, that's where Marcus Semien plays. Maybe third. I think Haggerty can play a little third. This Josh Young mental break has not produced the same results, the immediate results that the Adolis Garcia mental break produced. So I don't know. I'm not saying bench Josh Young, but it's to the point where, gosh, you got to look at Haggerty because this team right now, I mean, just right now, not long term. I don't think he's an everyday player, but right now, if he can spark your team, gosh, get him in there.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned Adolis. I hadn't talked about him yet before you came on, but I am just essentially proud of what he did. Not only is he hitting the ball better, obviously, and he's raising his average and all that stuff, but the walks that he's taking, Jeff, are on balls that are, sometimes very close to the strike zone, right? I mean, he used to swing at balls, at pitches that were a ball or two outside of the strike zone with regularity. And he's taking pitches now that are not like automatic though. And I'm like, man, good eye. And he's drawn walks and he's doing things. He had that, I sarcastically said, wow, the fifth inning was exciting. The Rangers started with 2 walks.
Hey,
of course, it fizzled out, but he had one of the 2 anyway.
Well, in Adolis, yesterday that game changed in the 6th and 7th innings. Or maybe it was the 7th and the 8th. Adolis hit that ball really, really hard with runners in the corners and 1 out. I mean, he smoked that ball. Unfortunately, he's on the ground right to Bobby Witt, who turned it into an easy double play, and kind of that was the end of that. But he did his job there. I tell my son, he gets upset when he hits the ball hard and somebody catches it. I'm like, once it leaves your bat, it's out of your control. But what you can control is putting a good swing on it and running hard to first base. And that's what Adolis did. It was bad luck. But this series though was just Tuesday night's game. Steph Lugo, shoved it up their butts, and they didn't have much chance there. Struck out 9 guys. It was back to Rangers baseball and or from earlier this year, or just a couple weeks ago. And then they did a good job against Bubik last night, but now their starters are kind of waffling a little bit.
Right.
It's just a bad combination of things. But one thing of note there, and maybe we should talk about it in the next segment. But Jake Latz, I think that Jake Latz is going to be in the starting rotation here for a little bit.
Yeah, I mentioned him prior to you coming on and praised him big time, Jeff. But let's get your thoughts. Hear what Boach had to say about him. I don't know if you had a chance to talk to Jake, but we'll get to all that. There's lots more to talk about. I want to get some updates as well on some of the guys who have been battling injuries. We'll get to all that as well as our cleanup segment coming up. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. And I guess
go ahead. Shady Rays is what I was going to say.
Shady Rays, Jeff. Yeah, they are the best. You know it. I know it. I don't need any inside, but I'd be happy to wear them inside if I was that guy, right? Randy Galloway used to wear his sunglasses inside. We need to get him on the Shady Rays deal because Galloway always wears sunglasses inside, and some guys can pull it off, and it's cool. But
I think he was hungover.
Maybe, yeah, that might be.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little too many Miller Lights, yeah. But anyway, I love Shady Rays, and I think you will too. They're durable. They're so almost indestructible. They're good looking. They have so many great styles and so many great colors. Of course, they're polarized. They're really, I think they're as good as any sunglass out there at any price. And if you lose them, they will replace them. It's unbelievable. You're the fool, and they replace them. So good for them. Good for you. ShadyRays.com. Code DLLS, 35% off.
Yeah, John, we're not in the office, so we don't have our secret stash of the Wendy's Frosties, and
I hate it.
You know, I hate to miss out on a delicious ice cream treat, and that's what these are. This new Wendy's Frosty shop. If you haven't gone over there, we know Leon has, and I bet he's enjoying the heck out of them. It's a new angle, new slant on the same creamy treat you've always loved. Kind of a refresh, strawberry, brownie batter, caramel, and then they throw in some like Oreos, which I love, Pop-Tarts, which a lot of the kids love, and you can still get vanilla and chocolate. So you can get all your favorites that you've had for all these years. Kat, I know she likes the brownie one. I like the Oreo one myself. John, I think you're caramel. So we've tried them all; they're all good. And whatever flavor you're craving, odds are we've got a Frosty for it. So clock in for a sweet treat anytime, including midnight or later, with Wendy's all new Frosty flavors. A refresh on a classic, gotta be Wendy's. At participating U.S. Wendy's, hours may vary by location.
So you know what occurred to me last night, Jeff? It occurred to me I have not tried the Oreo one, and that is on my to-do list for next time we're in the office. I'll tell you that because I like Oreos. I'm a huge Oreo guy. So we'll definitely have like Kat's in there telling me you have to. She's going to save me one. She's in our little chat there. I appreciate that, Kat. And it reminds me too, Jeff, it's not just the little kids that like those Pop-Tart ones. Jesse on the Cowboy Show, of course, we did the musical chairs yesterday. And I was on there with Jesse. He's a big Pop-Tart Frosty guy. So,
all right.
Yeah. Okay. And I'll tell you, I had fun on the Cowboys. You were on with the Mavs, you and Abby, when I left, so I didn't get to see it. Was that a fun gig for you guys?
Yeah, it was. Clarence got Nick Van Exel to come on the show, and Nick is a very thoughtful guy. I've always liked Nick. I remember him back in first time I remember him was the I think it was 92 Final Four, or the 91 Final Four, 92. Anyway, with Cincinnati and Bob Huggins and things like that. And now he's got his own podcast, Quick to the Point, the name that Clarence butchered. So anyway, we had a good time. Clarence was throwing some shade at Luka for getting Rick Carlisle fired, and I went ahead and gave my thoughts on that skinny stiff for the Thunder, and so it was good in that regard. And I think Owen was a little overwhelmed, so he just kind of kept throwing things to us, him and Abby.
Yeah, that I'm sure of it. I'm sure of that. And by the way, I said at the beginning, I was a little worried about the Rangers show, and then I appreciated so much. Queen Cat jumped on there. She's like, "Wait, this is my show. I'm not going to let Bobby and Jeff Kavanaugh ruin the damn thing, right?" And then, KG jumped on, which was great. He's great at everything. How about getting Mike Reiner on the show?
Yeah,
baseball Jesus.
We've had Bassick on, so big deal.
True.
But
Reiner,
that was pretty cool, and pretty thoughtful. He doesn't think the Rangers can turn it around. If you guys missed it, he's pretty down on him, but he sure enjoyed that World Series.
Yeah, he's a glass half empty guy. There's no doubt about that. But I'll say this too: we get to count him as a guest on the Rangers show. I'm just saying that right
100%.
now. Yeah,
Yeah.
He was a guest on the Rangers show. So we got a tote board for our diehards who are wondering what we're talking about. We got a tote board in there, and we want to get that. So anyway, yes. So let's go back to Jacob Latz. What a performance! The longest of his career, obviously the longest of the season, and really, he gives up the home run to Caglione right out of the chute, and then he 16 and 19 or something like that.
How about that pitch that Caglione hit? I mean, it was a foot above the strike zone.
And by the way, that was the second highest pitch hit for a home run in Major League Baseball this year. It was 4 feet and 22 inches, I think, was what the official thing was, above the strike zone. And I'll be danged if he didn't hit that thing out. So if you can tomahawk one, Jacob Latz didn't do anything wrong there.
No, I think he hit a spot. Honestly, I really think he did.
Yeah.
Anyway, he was great. Jacob Latz was fantastic. The Rangers have been talking about him. Really, he kind of had I can't remember if it was a back deal in spring training or what it was, but he didn't pitch a lot, and he got sent out pretty early, and so but then by the end of camp, they were talking about, they were trying to sort out the bullpen, and Bochy volunteered Jake Latz, and he actually was on the flight and came here because he was under consideration. Of course, he did start in Round Rock, was quickly promoted, and now he's stretched out to start. He pitched 5 2/3 innings and threw more than 80 pitches. Okay, the Rangers don't let Jacob deGrom throw more than 80 pitches, so you're looking at a guy who can start now. They don't need to do these bullpen games anymore. Jake Latz, put him on a starter schedule. If that means you got to call somebody up to replace him, do it. All right, or to replace him in the bullpen. But this guy needs to be a starting pitcher, and at least until Evaldi's ready, at least until Malley is back. He's earned it. He throws 4 pitches. He throws them all for strikes. He throws hard. He's
left-handed.
He's left-handed. He can do a lot of things, and it's time to let him go. And remember, when he came up, his major league debut was as a starting pitcher at Cleveland in 2021 amid a COVID outbreak that allowed the Rangers to manipulate the roster and bring guys up without putting him on the 40. He went right back down after that. Went to camp the next year, and then all of a sudden was a reliever. Look, this team doesn't need to be giving up on starting pitchers. I think Cole Winn has a chance to be a starter again. Maybe obviously not this year, but I think down the road the Rangers should at least consider it, because like Jake, Cole has 4 pitches, maybe 5, and it might look good again if you give that a shot. Anyway, and over the next 2 weeks, while they're waiting for Evaldi and waiting for Malley or maybe Bradford, I'm fine with Jake Latz filling one of those spots, and no more bullpen games. We know the bullpen has acquitted itself very, very nicely in these bullpen games. It really has. They've won 3 of the 4 or 2 of the 3 now, whatever it is, and really pitched well enough to win today's game. But it's just going to cause chaos. They were fortunate that Jacob did what he did.
Yeah,
they don't have to go to the minor leagues for relief help tomorrow.
Nope.
If he had only gone 3 innings, you'd be looking at some roster moves right now. I think they were able to stay away from Milner, and they were able to stay from Martin, who apparently has some lower back issues that went under the radar. Luke Jackson didn't pitch today. Garcia needed to pitch today because he's the closer and hadn't pitched in a while. And of course, Caglione got him. But their bullpen's fine for tomorrow. They need DeGrom to give them 6 or 7, and they'll be just fine for Saturday. But all of that is on the shoulders of Jake Latz. And really, if you want to go back to Monday, Caleb Bosley did a job too.
Same thing. Yeah, and look, to your point about guys going from the bullpen to the starter role, a la what could happen with Cole Winn and Jacob Latz. On the broadcast, Murph and Dave Raymond were talking about, they'd talked to some of the Kansas City broadcasters, and that's essentially what happened to Bubic last year, right? He was put into the bullpen last year, and they said it felt like that was what turned him back into the starter he has become. Now, will Jacob Latz, become Bubic? I don't know. Obviously, will Cole Winn, from his stint in the bullpen, if he goes back to being a starter, become that? It's hard to say, but it sometimes can help turn on a light bulb for you, and that's what they felt like. The Kansas City guys felt like it did for Bubic. And look, that was the thing that was so frustrating about yesterday's game, Jeff. The Rangers get to him in the very first inning. You're like, okay, all right, here we go. And then, as we've predicted it would, I mean, the starting pitching, the Rangers starting pitching can't be that good all the time, forever. And it just, I mean, it's not like, it's not like Patrick Corbin was bad, but it was, it was the most runs he's given up in a game yet this year.
Yeah, and again, it wasn't that many. The 3-run homer after the review play that looked like New York completely bungled. Maybe it's it's two outs. And what wasn't the third out they missed? But Garcia gets pitched to differently in that situation. You're not trying to get a jam shot or a ground ball. You're just trying to get an out, and maybe you don't go inside and miss your spot. So I just, and I'm kind of eyeballing the chat over here talking about the Rangers should trade DeGrom and Simeon and Seager. I don't think this team is in any need to rebuild. They just got to get the most out of their guys, which they've been saying for a year and a half now. And I really think that they have to make some moves for hitters who are more patient. You can't have 9 guys who go up there just trying to swing at the first pitch, or 8 guys, because Evan Carter, although he did swing at the first pitch of the game today, you need guys who put together longer at bats, are more selective, understand that control the strike zone a little bit better, and you just can't have these innings where your pitcher goes out there and maybe gives up a couple runs, throws 20-25 pitches, and then your 3 batters go out in order. And they throw the opposing pitcher throws 6 pitches. You gotta have patient hitters for a number of reasons. Walks are such a big deal. They just change the course of an inning so much. And it's just frustrating to watch this offense. And so I think the batters that are on the roster, I don't think the lineup is constructed well enough. Or as efficiently as it needs to be. They just have too many free swingers and aggressive hitters, and that's great if they're hitting, but none of them are hitting. So it's definitely a problem.
Yeah, you definitely would love to see. You'd love to mix in some of those guys, like you said, who work at bats. I've always thought, my whole really career watching major league hitters, I've always thought the really feisty, the really good hitters could foul off pitches all afternoon, all evening, right? Just keep fouling them off, get a bat on it, right? And frustrate the pitcher. And I do believe there's plenty of guys on this Rangers team who could do that. And yet, that kind of thing, as you mentioned earlier, isn't happening. And that, like, those battles, man, that's the other thing about that. Those battles are so much fun. Now, obviously, sometimes as a hitter, you lose those battles. But, man, when you win them, it's demoralizing for a pitcher.
Yeah. And, one of the best at-bats of the 2023 postseason was Nathaniel Lowe in that game against the Orioles, where he saw 15 pitches.
Yep.
All right. He ended up lining out to left field, but the Rangers put the game away that inning. That's when they had their big inning, and won whatever it was, 6-0 or whatever, and close out the series there. That was the guys on the bench. I remember talking to him after the game. They could see the pitcher panting.
Yeah,
he was exhausted after that. Yep. With no pitch clock, or with the pitch clock now, it's really hard on pitchers.
Yes,
very hard, and you just don't see that from the Rangers. You don't see 10 pitch at bats, and I know the the PR team is very good about announcing 10 pitch at bats. You just don't hear them from the Rangers very much. And again, it's the free swing. It's they see I think they see the fewest pitches per plate appearance in the league. They just go up there and swing, and then you're down. Okay, you foul it off or you miss it. You're down 0-1. You're already in a hole, And maybe if you take a strike, you're in a hole. But again, we're talking about guys who can hit their spots. And if it's a pitch on the lower outside corner, that's not a pitch you're going to do anything with,
right?
So let it go and try to live another day. So I just think there are a lot of, and that comes down to approach. And I don't know that those aren't things you can change overnight. So,
no, I don't know that those things are changing this season. So now you have to figure it out with what you have and the way it is. And that would be sort of a little bit more of a seismic shift for, next year or whenever. But anyway, more coming up. We did not get to some of those updates on guys who are injured. We'll get to that. We'll get to the road trip that's coming up and the pitching matchups therein, and also a couple of streaks that have ended in Major League Baseball. That's all coming up. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. And today, Jeff, we are celebrating what?
Big brothers, big sisters.
Big sisters. Look at that. Like this shirt and love the organization. And I love the fact that you guys, all of our diehards and everybody who listens and watches and everybody who's in the chat has helped us reach our goal. That said, you know how goals go. We got a thing this morning. This morning, the whole group, the whole ALLCITY network, was like at $8,600. So we knew we were going over 10 grand. And they said, let's double the goal. So people, help us out. Yeah, we'd love to double that goal. We're only helping some of the kids in our community. It's going right into our community. And every dollar you give is going directly to Big Brothers, Big Sisters. We're not keeping any of it. There's no fees. There's none of that. We're partners. We're in it for the long haul with Big Brothers, Big Sisters, which is a great organization. Big Brothers, Big Sisters Dallas can use all the money we can help them get. So please support that wonderful cause and support DLLS by donating to Big Brothers, Big Sisters, or just donate your time and become a big, as they call it, a big brother or a big sister.
Yeah, it is a great organization. I've told you about Anthony Andro doing it.
Yeah.
My wife worked for a similar place, and they're just great. These kids sometimes just need a little help, need a little push, need a friend, and that's what you can be, a mentor. You can also be a diehard. And hey, you know what? If you're going to be a big brother, buy them a diehard membership while you're $80. It'll they can read whatever they want. They can learn about the sports teams. They can have conversations with adults about sports and put adults in their place because of the rich knowledge that the DLLS beat writers provide. I'm working on something, kind of catching up on what's been going down here the last few days. That'll be posted later today. And, it gives you 20% off if you want to take your little kid to Las Vegas with the Cowboys crew. Do all sorts of things with this membership. But the important thing is scan the QR code or go to alldls.com/join and become a diehard today.
Yep. We would really love it if you would do that. Okay. So let's talk. You mentioned Chris Martin. And the word I heard from before the game, and you talked to Boats, obviously, was that he was just unavailable for today. So that's good. But I heard back, and I had not heard that. So give me more of an update there.
Well, none of us had heard back. I asked about, is Chris Martin available? And I think he said, I thought Boach said he was. And I was like, is it the same shoulder stuff? Has that been staying away from me? He's like, no, it's a lower back. And we were all like, oh, okay, well, we didn't know that. And he goes, oh, yeah, I thought you guys did. So anyway, he's been dealing with the lower back thing, which he dealt with earlier in the season. He says he's dealt with it a lot. He's 39 almost, and or maybe he did turn 39. I don't remember, but that happens when you're old. And we can attest to that. Yeah. So that's an issue. Something to monitor again with him, but I would suspect he can pitch tomorrow. Injury-wise, Cody Bradford has been delayed a little bit because he's had a cold or the flu. He was back at the ballpark today, but he's a little off schedule now. We thought he would go out, but now he might be looking at another live batting practice. Talked to John Gray, who is very pumped. He threw a bullpen session yesterday in which he was able to throw sliders and breaking balls with
Excellent.
spin. So he said he'll have a couple more of those. He'll have one this weekend in Pittsburgh, one in Baltimore, come home, throw 2 lives, and then he's out. So by July 1st, he could be on a rehab assignment. And I really do think that the Rangers, assuming Eovaldi's able to come back and Malley's able to come back, I think he's going to be a reliever. I think they're going to want to get him back and use him, however they can, whether it's 2 innings 3 times a week or 2 innings, 3 innings one day and an inning later in the week. I really think that that's something they want to utilize here. We did talk to Malley yesterday, and he said that he feels fine. If he had felt on last week like he feels today, he wouldn't have been on the injured list. He doesn't have a timeline for when he's going to throw, but he's ready to throw. He feels like he could throw with no problem. So that's good news. Josh Sborz, live batting practice yesterday. Still needs the velo to come up, so he's probably going to get another 1 or 2 lives with the team, and then he'll go out for what I would suspect would be more of an extended rehab.
Yeah,
because we really need the velocity to pick up. He's only at about 90. He needs to at least be in the mid 90s.
Yep.
And going out and pitching in a game will add some velocity. It absolutely will. The adrenaline that's a real thing. And so he'll pick that up, then probably lose it a little bit and then rebound. So, but he feels good about his spin on his pitches, his command. So that's good. Just needs a little more juice on the fastball. Josh Smith should play tomorrow. I think we covered that one.
What about Evo? I talked to him on Wednesday when I was there, and he thought he'd throw it live on Saturday. And then he kind of thought he'd be ready to go. Is that the
If everything goes well Saturday, I think they'll insert him back into the rotation. The question then becomes when they would do that, and I don't know the answer. They could theoretically do it Wednesday, let's say at Baltimore, or they give him until the team comes back and let him go against them in the opener against the Mariners on the 27th. So it's going to happen, barring a setback. It's going to happen. It's just this is taking a lot longer than Evo and the club thought. Again, it was a triceps issue initially, and they since have kind of changed the diagnosis to a nerve issue, but he's throwing and everything seems to be doing fine, and he wants to pitch. He's chomping at the bit to do it. So I would suspect that that's happening next week.
Yeah, and that sort of accentuates the point about John Gray. Here in a minute, when everybody's healthy, and especially if Jacob Latz is available as a starter now, there's going to be a plethora, a surplus of starting pitchers, so it makes sense for John. And John gets back quicker, right? We all know that. If you don't have to stretch him out at the minor league level or something, he can get back much more quickly. So that would be a good thing. And, of course, you're going to be in Baltimore, so we're kind of hoping maybe that Nathan comes back at that final game of the Orioles series.
Yeah, it's going to be hotter than hell in Baltimore, even hotter than it normally is. It's
really? Good gosh.
Supposed to be triple digits heat. And that's not good.
No.
and so because of the humidity, I can handle one, but not both. And so I'll probably I don't know how much I'll be hanging around that rickety old press box that doesn't have any fans. I may have to go watch the game up from the food room or something. But anyway, I'm going to be there. I look forward to it. And Misty, Baltimore Heat and Texas Heat are nowhere
different animals. Yeah,
completely different animals. Yeah, yeah. I can sit outside. I can sit outside in Texas. I can't sit outside in Baltimore. So, Anyway, yeah. So I'm looking forward to it, and we'll have a little clarity here. I would hope. I would hope that the Pirates series and the Orioles series are kind of feel good series, turn around, win some games, or at least do some things better offensively. The fences have again been adjusted in Baltimore, so that's a good thing now. So there's a chance to hit some home runs out, and so we'll see what happens. But starts tomorrow with DeGrom. That's a big one. He can go out and pitch like he has. Everything will be fine. He did turn 37 today, or does turn 37 today. He said basically what's a number? It's how you feel, and he said he doesn't feel 37. So
it's good.
That's good. He's in the right mind frame. And so get the guys off on the right foot. They need to go into the game confident tomorrow, knowing that they don't have to do a lot.
No, that's right.
They don't have to score 18 runs. Jacob deGrom is pitching. Yeah. They need to score 3. Let's start with 3.
Go for just so we know. Yeah.
Let's start small, baby steps.
Yeah.
Take the pressure off. Say, hey, we can score 3 runs.
Let's look at that pitching matchups for that Pittsburgh series. And again, to your point, Jeff, when Jacob deGrom is the first one of those, you feel absolutely great. And so that's fantastic. And then Kumar Rocker, you have to like what you saw from him last time. Jack Leiter, maybe not quite so much, but again, this is look, that, and this is what TR was talking about with us when we had him on as the mystery guest, and I brought this out to the ballpark, to the PR crew, and to Eric Nadel. His point, TR's point, is this season is about Rocker and Leiter, and I'm not sure it's only that, but everybody agreed that is a significant aspect of this season and those two following Jacob deGrom, to me, Jeff, isn't a bad thing.
Yeah, hopefully they watch the game. Watch the game. Watch how the guy goes about his business. And yes, he is the best in the world. When he's on, he is so good. But you can learn from this guy, and you hope that they're watching. And I would say that I do think that the injuries to Gray and Bradford forced the Rangers into Rocker. I think in a perfect world, those two don't get hurt. Kumar Rocker hasn't even pitched in the majors yet this year, honestly.
Agreed.
Leiter's doing well. I know his ERAs have gone up a little bit here lately, but I'm okay with Jack Leiter. And we're also probably, if you look at his season last year, he didn't throw a ton of innings because he was back and forth between AAA and the majors. We might be running into a little fatigue with him too. That might be something to watch. I know he did have the time off with the blister, so maybe we're just at the start of that. But it's something to consider. But no, they all need to have good starts. They need to feel good about themselves. They need a series win and head to Baltimore, where again it's going to be super hot. These guys don't seem to play in the heat anymore. So maybe that'll be a factor, but the Orioles aren't very good, and you'll have a chance to win a series there.
Yeah, and Kat, I saw you pop up that thing that our friends at Victory put out on Twitter. If you show that again, I thought that was so cool, Jeff. Did you see that? It says, the same but different, and I love that. I mean, look how amazingly similar Wyatt Langford looks to Air Jordan there. So our friends at Victory did a nice, and they had that up quick. That was right after the catch. Somebody over there noticed that, and actually Corey Seager made a pretty nice effort that was similar to Wyatt Langford's a little bit later on in the game too.
Yeah, the Rangers' defense kind of that Tampa Bay series, they sucked defensively, but they haven't made an error since. They've today I think was their 11th straight game without an error. So maybe they would have had one in the second first game at Tampa. I don't remember, but anyway, they're cleaning it up and they're making some plays. And, we saw the wonderful diving catch by Evan Carter that messed up his wrist. And we saw the Wyatt leaping catch, the plays by Corey. There's been some good defense of late. And I tell you what, those damn pitchers have been getting over to first base.
No.
That point has been driven home, it would appear, because those boys are getting over there.
Yes, it has. All right, the Rangers hit the road. Jeff will be on the road with them for part of the series, although he'll still be with us. You're going to be in there. You'll be there Monday, won't you? Yeah.
I'm going to fly in Monday, so I've got the post-game show Sunday with you. But I'm going to fly in Baltimore Monday morning.
We'll be there for post-game from the finale of the Pittsburgh series, and then Jeff's off to Baltimore. So anyway, thanks for hanging out with us today. Sorry about the game, but we don't have a lot of control over that. And we will see you again on Sunday to wrap up the hopefully feel-good series in Pittsburgh. Thanks for joining us on the DLLS Rangers podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.